Çay mali. Fika.
Çay mali?
Evet. Ki çay mali. Fika.
Chai?
Çay mali.
This is tea.
Tea. Fika.
This is to eat. Fika.
Ja, hayta. Mandarina. Salbaj. Nocciole. Oregano.
Oregano.
Menta.
Okay.
Menta. Roza canina për infeksion të veshkave të urinës. Roza canina si çaj. Linden blu. Balsam për stomak, për kolit. Të gjitha.
Okay.
Ja, provu.
Thank you. Faleminderit.
S'ka gjë të që nëna. Shaka të mirë.
It's good. Hey gang, Xavier here for Hum of the Earth. Signing in from Gjirokastër, a city that I've been told is a must-see in Albania. Been told it's one of the more beautiful, if not the most beautiful in Albania, and according to some, one of the prettiest in the Balkans in general. It is a well-preserved Ottoman-style city of people who had mostly large farms and other successful enterprises at the time. The first historical recordings of the city are from the early 14th century, where the inhabitants were mostly Greek, and the city was part of the Byzantine Empire. During this period in time, the majority of the people here were Christian, and later the city was contested between the Despotate of Epirus and the Albanian clan of John Genovese, but was later conquered by the Ottoman Empire. Which is present-day Turkey. And here we have some old Turkish baths that were built under the Turkish rule, which spanned about 500 years, from the early 1400s to the early 1900s. During this period, a lot of people were converted to Islam, and there was an influx of Muslims coming to the city as well. Which made the city far more mixed than it was previously. As you can see, not all of the buildings are well preserved here. And despite this, the new mix of the population during the Balkan Wars, Greece decided to take Gjirokastër, given that it still had a significant percentage of the population being Greek. But in 1913, Gjirokastre was incorporated into the newly independent state of Albania. But the local Greek population was not pleased with this decision and fought back by means of guerrilla warfare. And in 1914, they established the Autonomous Republic of Northern Epirus, with Gjirokastre as its capital. But in 1921, the area was definitely awarded to Albania. The city is also known as being Enver Hoxha, which is the former Albanian communist leader's birthplace. And in fact, this is one of the homes that he resided in. Enver Hoxha, who was born in 1908, served as the head of the communist state of Albania from 1944 until 1985, when he died. And under the rule of the Party of Labor of Albania, Albania was completely shut off from the outside world, which meant that they had to be completely self-reliant. Here's the Greek consulate. In 1991, the Greek population destroyed the monument in the city to Enver Hoxha, and this marked the end of the single political party system in Albania. But following the fall of communism in 1991, Gjirokastre and the country in general had severe economic difficulties. And in 1993, there were open conflicts between the Greek minority here in Gjirokastre and the Albanian police. And then in 1997, following the collapse of the giant pyramid scheme, which the Albanian economy was based on, this destabilized the economy and just the quality of life of people once again. And the city was a center of anti-government protests against the leader at the time, Sali Berisha, who was eventually forced to resign. And then in 1997, Enver Hoxha's former house was damaged, but it was eventually restored and turned into a museum. Today, Gjirokastër is principally a commercial center with industries in food, leather, and textiles. And recently in the region, the production of organic produce has risen, the majority of which being exported to Greece. And since the opening of Albania to the rest of the world, Gjirokastra has become one of the primary tourist destinations. And this area specifically being the Old Town is one of the more touristy areas here. Here we have an old bazaar that was built in the 17th century. One of the iconic aspects of the city. Gjirokastra still has a significant Greek population. In fact, along with Saranda, it is one of the two principal centers for the Greek population, or the Greek minority in Albania. And that's why we have the Greek consulate here that we saw earlier, and also a Greek newspaper. It was established in 1945, and it was the only new Greek language printed media allowed during the People's Socialist Republic of Albania. Newspaper is called Leko Vima. The city's most famous landmark, the Gjirokastre Fortress. There have been archaeological findings on this hill that date back to the Iron Age. But the oldest parts of the fortress that are still here today, the structure, date back to the early 1400s. The cannons that we're looking at right now were used by the communist Albania mostly during World War II. They were used as resistance to Nazi Germany. Among other uses. Here are the remains of a US plane, a fighter plane. Now, according to the Albanian sources, this plane was forced to land and confiscated. But according to US sources, the plane got lost in heavy fog and was forced to land due to low fuel and was just never returned. And the reason why you had these kind of diverging stories at the time is because it was during the Cold War when the US kind of feared the rise of communism internationally. Even though Albania wasn't part of the Soviet Union at the time, they were still wary of communism wherever it might be. So neither side wanted to kind of concede a victory to the other, and that's why we have two different sides to that story. These smaller cannons up here were brought here by the Ottoman ruler of the area at a time, Ali Pasha. And these cannons weren't actually given to him by the Ottoman Empire because they feared giving too much power to these kind of local rulers who were kind of far from the center of the Ottoman Empire. But Ali Pasha, who was very power hungry, struck a deal with Britain, and the deal was that they would be given these cannons here along with 2 warships to prevent the Napoleonic spread of the French army at the time, who were naturally enemies, or Napoleon was naturally an enemy of Britain. Later on, during the Zog government of Albania, the castle was used as a prison for people who had political or just opposed the political differences or opposed the government in any way, or maybe were of a different religion. I actually spoke to a woman in the center of town who was owned a shop, and she was saying that I'd asked her, if things were better during communist times or post-communism, because I'd actually received some answers that I didn't expect to hear from another Albanian when I asked them the same question, but she gave an answer that I was more expecting, that she did not like communist times because her family was Muslim and her father was imprisoned in the castle, which overlooked the city. Here we have a stage that is used for the annual folk festival here in Albania. Where you can hear some traditional Albanian/Greek folk music. And over here we're going to have one of the more iconic shots of Gjirokastër. That is of the city's clock tower. And with that, we'll begin to wrap up this video. Hope you enjoyed this tour in history of Gjirokastër. Definitely one of the more beautiful and scenic cities in Albania, a country that within itself is very beautiful. I have a longer video on the channel called Journey Through Southern Albania, where I bicycled through this half of the country, where you can see just how beautiful it is, what the people are like, what the culture is like, where I talk more about the history of the country in general, which is a very interesting history, as I'm sure you've maybe deciphered just from this microcosm of it here in this video of Gjirokastër. It's also a very affordable country to visit, at least for Europe. And it has lots of cool places to see, including on the coast, Porto Palermo and Keparo, near the town of Vimare. That's another video on the channel. I also have a video of the unofficial capital of the Albanian coast, Saranda, and a video of the world famous Butrint ruins, which is a rare example of archaeological structures from the different historical eras of the country in the region. And you can find all those videos by clicking on the Albania playlists. So if you go to my channel, Hum of the Earth, then go to playlists and choose Albania, you will see all of those videos. And I was here as part of my journey bicycling through Central and Eastern Europe. And before that, I bicycled from Cape Town, South Africa, to Nairobi, Kenya. So bicycling through half of Africa in the east. And before that, I bicycled from Canada, where I'm from, all the way to southern Patagonia in Chile and Argentina. And all of those videos are available on this very same YouTube channel, Hum of the Earth. And if you'd like to see an interactive map of everywhere that I went and everything that I got to see and do, that is available over on my website, followthehumoftheearth.com. Where you can click on the various locations and see the different blog posts and videos that I've made of these places. And if you'd like to follow my continuing adventures, once again bicycling through Central and Eastern Europe, you can do so by clicking on the red subscribe button below the video and clicking on the bell to be notified when new videos come out. Alright, so that's gonna do it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good one.